Not all cruelty roars. Sometimes it whispers. A locked door, a distant cry, and the world stayed silent. Echoes of footsteps that move away and never return. This isn't a ghost story. It's not horror in the forest. It happens in houses with locked doors and relieved futures. This is not folklore, it's real. Imagine lock, click, and silence. No one watches, no one listens. But something inside begins to echo, because behind one locked door, a life was left to fade. Welcome to the quiet room. This is Left Behind. On June 6, 2023, Jailyn Candelario boarded a flight to Detroit, then Puerto Rico. She smiled in vacation photos, a carefree mother sipping, sunning, in blissful contrast to the chaos she left behind. At home, in a modest apartment on West 97th Street, Cleveland, neighbours heard something unsettling. We heard her crying around 1 a.m. 2 days in. Yet no one called child services, no one knocked, no one acted. They assumed her mother would return. Day 1, day 3, day 5, neighbours faintly heard Jailyn's cries. One said, "We heard a baby crying, but we thought Mum must be home soon." For 10 days, the apartment stood unlocked, but the door remained silent. One elderly neighbour whispered, "Sometimes at night you think a baby's crying, but it gets so quiet you wonder if you heard it at all." No welfare checks, no police visits, no intervention, just inches of separation, isolation amplified by assumption. Security camera footage captured Jailyn's whimpers echoing through the building, voices lost in the halls, unheard, unheeded. For 10 days, that playpen became a tomb. Neighbours thought Crystal was just away. Some assumed Jailyn was with a relative. Inside, the baby's diaper had overflown. The food left behind, if any, had long rotted. And the heat of summer crept in. Jailyn, just over a year old, slowly dehydrated. Day after day, her cries faded into nothing. On June 16th, at 8:12 a.m., a call came through to Cleveland's emergency services. "My baby's unresponsive." When first responders arrived, they found Jailyn deceased in the playpen, her body severely decomposed, surrounded by a strong odour, in a state that clearly indicated she had been dead for several days. They found her lifeless in a pack and play, wrapped in soil blankets soaked in urine and feces, milk dried into the fabric. Her body was emaciated, severely dehydrated, with sunken eyes and a heartbroken stillness. She weighed 7 pounds less than at her last checkup. The paramedics described as unbearably haunting, locked in neglect. Police found no signs of abuse, only abandonment that led to starvation and thirst. Crystal was arrested on site and charged with aggravated murder and child endangerment. One witness said, "The scene will haunt me forever." This was neglect in its most extreme form. Official report read, dehydrated to the point of organ shutdown, small stature, skeletal weight loss. In February of 2024, the courtroom was full, but the crib was still empty. Crystal Candelario, now dressed in muted prison greys, stood before a judge. No longer the woman smiling in beach photos, no longer the mother her community once knew, just an echo of the silence she left behind. She pleaded guilty to aggravated murder and child endangerment. There would be no trial, no jury, no cross-examination, because sometimes there is no defence. Judge Brendan Sheehan spoke slowly, his words as cold and final as a tombstone. You left for a 10-day vacation and locked your daughter inside to die. You chose freedom over duty, a cocktail over a bottle, a hotel bed over her crib. This was not a momentary lapse. It was calculated abandonment. The courtroom was quiet, but not peaceful. The silence was thick, ashamed, and angry. Then the medical examiner took the stand, a veteran of 100 child cases. Her voice wavered when she spoke of Jailyn. The child endured extreme dehydration, no food, no water. Her organs had begun to fail, one by one. She would have suffered for days. It wasn't fast, it wasn't painless, and it didn't need to happen. The judge's gavel came down one final time. Life without parole. There would be no beach sunsets, no hotel check-ins, no second chances. When the story broke, the city turned inward. Neighbours, reporters and strangers all asked the same question. How did no one know? Down the hall, one neighbour told a reporter, "We thought maybe the baby was with a sitter. We didn't want to interfere, but yeah, I heard crying, not just once. We should have called someone. We didn't." Outside, social workers condemned the lack of community checks, the failures in housing support, the gaps in mental health response. Online Reddit threads burned. She was posting vacation pics while her baby starved. No one called CPS. We don't live in a village anymore. We live in silos. This wasn't a horror born in shadows. It was born in silence, in a hallway where people passed by, in social media feeds where no one saw a warning sign. Twice her cries rang out. Twice no one listened. Twice we failed. In true crime, we chase the killers, the masked, the monstrous, the mythical. But sometimes the horror isn't a stranger at the door, it's the people who don't knock. It's the ones who hear something and turn up the volume to drown it out. Jailyn Candelario didn't die at the hands of a serial killer. She wasn't hunted in the woods. There was no scream to echo. She died in a locked apartment in her own playpen, surrounded by the absence of care. No voice, no story, just stillness and a city that moved on. We say things like, "It takes a village to raise a child," but this time, the village didn't show up. She was left behind. This has been The Quiet Room. Tonight's episode, Left Behind. Shut the door, kill the light, and remember, silence didn't haunt this child. It left her to die, unheard.